So when I was a young girl, I saw a video that I'll never forget. It was of 6 men in a field holding guns, and in the middle of the circle they formed was a pit bull in a cage with a muzzle on, and his nails had been clipped so he had no way to protect himself. When they let him out of the cage, they were abusing him to teach him how cruel people can be, and they had dogs they had previously taught to fight, and going after this dog until he could barely stand. I turned this off halfway through because I couldn't stand to watch it anymore. And ever since, I was probably 6 or 7, I haven't gotten that image out of my head. Personally, in my life, I have 2 pit bulls. They're my sister's dogs, and they're named Sasha and Bear. One's a black pit bull, and the other one is mixed. It's remarkable to me that people would call these animals cruel and vicious by the day they're born, because all I've ever seen out of pit bulls is a loving nature. So today I'm going to talk to you about helping to stop pit bull violence. First, I'm going to talk about what a pit bull is and what they're bred for. Second, I'm going to talk to you about actual pit bull violence. And third, I'll talk about owner education. Let me start by telling you the 3 main types of pit bulls. There's the American Pit Bull Terrier, the Staffordshire Bull Terrier, and the American Staffordshire Terrier. They look like a dog of power. They're extremely muscular, and they have a thick but short coat, so they're easy to groom. They can range from 22 to 78 pounds, and they have a 12-year life expectancy. Back in the day, they were owned by the likes of Helen Keller, Teddy Roosevelt, and Thomas Edison. And they're the most popular family dog in the beginning of the 20th century. Now they sell in almost every canine task, including herding, guarding, hunting, and policing. They're used as police dogs, search dogs, therapy dogs, and farm dogs. And they set their heart out into anything they do. Determination is one of their biggest traits. Recently, irresponsible owners have changed this family-friendly breed into one of a cruel and born killer. And because of that, some animal shelters immediately, when they see a pit bull, call it unadoptable and will kill it without any evaluation. In 1997, they actually made a law in Prince George's County that if you had a pit bull or if you harbored one, you could get arrested with 6 months in prison and a $1,000 fine. In Maryland, they're passing one. They just said that they were born horrible and killing dogs, and they're trying to pass a law to get rid of all pit bulls together, which is crazy to me that right now they're trying to do that. Part of the reason this happens is because the reputation they got as fighting dogs, leading me to their violence level. They're one of the most human-friendly canines. The American Test Associates, which evaluates stability, friendliness, and several hundred dog breeds, rated them an 85.3%. This is higher and better than the average, which is 81% in dogs, and it's higher than a golden retriever. So it actually shows that these are ideal family pets. Pit bulls are dogs for smart people, and the horror stories you hear about them 99% of the time is the fault of a neglectful or stupid human. Dog fighting. Pit bulls are loyal to a fault and will fight for their owners. They're very strong, and I think that's why they've kind of gotten looped into the dog fight. The 3 things you find in most dog fights is they're not sterilized, they live on a chain or in a fenced-in yard their entire life, and they're not socialized. And this comes from the pet show at News 8. I believe that it's an animal welfare issue, but it's also a child welfare issue. Adults involved in dog fighting often bring their children to watch, so they're further desensitized in already violent society. I have 2 pictures of dogs that have come out and survived dog fights. And this is the first one is normally the setting that they live in, which is disgusting, and the second one, the pit bull just looks absolutely terrified, and it's not something they genuinely want to be a part of. So I made a couple of stats to kind of show you guys how dangerous pit bulls really are. It can be estimated for every pit bull who kills, there are 10.5 million who don't. And nationwide, 75% of shelters euthanize all pit bulls. regardless of their temperament, age, or history. And approximately 150 people are killed each year from falling coconuts. So that makes you 60 times more likely to be killed by a palm tree than a pit bull. And I tried to find the most aggressive picture I could of a coconut tree to kind of give you the view of what you should really be terrified of. So I'd watch out on vacation. I have a 30-second clip, which you guys heard the beginning of. And I did want to show you guys something where the pit bulls are fighting and the bad nature of it. I want to show you guys what they're really like, because I feel like the mass media kind of puts them in a horrible setting. That they're just like any other dog. And they can be cute and fun. It's just how you raise them, which leads me to training. So like Cesar Millan, the famous dog whisperer, says it's the humans not controlling the power. So teaching them to sit, stay, come, roll over, and then giving them a treat are good examples of how to train them. This is called positive training, so don't choke them or prong them or use a shock collar. Just not the right way to do things when it comes to pit bulls or really any puppy. Socializing them at an early age, anything after 12 weeks is backtracking, so starting when they first are born and up to 12 weeks is a great time period. Getting them around a bunch of people, a bunch of other animals, a bunch of dogs, and making them feel comfortable around them is always a great idea. Taking them to the vet's office, even though you don't have an appointment, and going to a busy grocery store or parking lot, and just getting them used to the outdoors. I think owner education and careful animal selection is key to successful adoption. We need to make sure that the animal shelters are careful to protect the pit bulls from owners who are incapable and unwilling to provide ownership. So to end it, to wrap it up, I'm urging everyone in this room to just do something. There's BeyondTheMythMovie.com, which shows the history of pit bulls and the myth of them and how they got this reputation. There's something called the Pit Bully Crew, which protects pit bulls and gives them to respectful owners. Most of all, I want everyone to inform others of the breed. The stereotype that's been placed on them is really one that's horrible. And if something doesn't happen, laws like the one in Maryland in 1997 will continue to pass and will wind us down a slippery slope with this breed. Thank you. Yes.
I don't know if you said this when you were listening to stats. Is there any stats that claim that they're more prone to bite than other dogs?
I didn't find any. I think it's a big myth, as someone said last week in the mass media. It's not even, a lot of the time you'll see on the news that a pit bull attacked, but most of the time it wasn't even a pit bull, and they just get more reviews for saying it was. So there's about 200 breeds that are linked in that look like a pit bull, that people will just say, oh, this is it. It's really, I believe it's 100% the owners who train it.
Okay.
I have a question. I also own an American Pit Bull, and he's like the sweetest dog. He's 95 pounds. And him and my 17-month-old daughter play all the time. He just sits down and whines if he doesn't see her. How do you propose, like you said, mass media just blames it to pit bull, but it also goes into movies. Like you can have like this gangster movie where all of them have a pit bull that are this aggressive dogs, to other movies where just the dogs attack and it's part of the movie because, like you said, they look aggressive, they look muscular, so it fits the part of Hollywood. How do you plan to stop movies and TV shows and everything portraying this as well for pit bulls?
I'm not really sure how to do that. I think there needs to be more pit bull advocates out there. I think more people need to inform people on the breed. This happened back in the 70s and 80s with German Shepherds as well. People went after them and said they're horrible animals. So I don't know. I just think people need to inform themselves, because if they really saw what the pit bull is like, I think it would be a different story.
More questions?
What control measures do you have for the irresponsible owners that was currently, I mean, Michael Vick was convicted of several counts and he did 18 months, I think,
Yeah.
and there's no telling how many dogs he killed. He had a farm.
Yeah. That's just sad. I think you definitely should get prison time. I think 100% it's the fault of the owner. I think there needs to be more laws passed on that instead of the laws that we're passing now, saying it's the pit bull's fault and euthanizing all pit bulls. I think we need to focus more on the owners, like I said. More jail time or harder punishment. I'm not really sure, but I know something needs to happen.
Saying as how there's an incident where pit bull attacks a human and that like hurts this human pretty badly, critical condition, or even kills the human. Like, if the dog didn't have any prior instances of being that vicious, do you think that it's a problem to put that dog to sleep after it's hurt a human being like that?
I think that's tricky, especially if they didn't have any other problems before. The laws today are saying if a pit bull and only a pit bull attacks and hurts someone or kills them, that they are put down immediately. I don't think that's right. I think, yeah, that one's a tough one. I think they should definitely be taken away from the owners, and they shouldn't be able to live in where they're living. I think it should be studied a little more, and it should be each dog studied, instead of just saying, oh, it's a pit bull, let's put it down. Because I believe that is different for other breeds. They won't, if they hurt someone, they won't immediately put it down and just take it away from their owner.
Last question?
I have one question kind of going off Brown's question. Like, how to say I attack someone, there's programs to help me. Would you establish a program to help, like a dog that has like a pit bull that has no prior, instances of being violent, and then once the dog's cleared, it would go for adoption? Would you try to implement a program like that?
Yeah, I think that would be the best idea. In no way would I want them to go back to the home they were living in before or with the owners they were with before. Yeah, I definitely I think there should be a plan that gives them a chance to live. Because there are a lot of, when I researched, there's a lot of dogs that were bought and then they were taught to be violent and they were put in these dog fights and then they became aggressive. And then they got back to the kennels and they kind of went back to the way they were before. I think if they're in a violent area, they're going to be scared and they're going to be more aggressive. So I think there should be ways to help them.
Thank you.